everyone. Welcome to Amazing Plantz4mationz. I have a very, very special guest here with us today. And, I probably should have asked you right before we came on so I pronounced your name right. So I hope I don't mess it up too much here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a shot. Oops, you can hear me. I'm just going to read a little brief intro about our guest, Amber. I'm so excited. You probably know her from, I was on her channel, Divine Health Revolution, which we have the link in the description of this video. And then also she was on the really fun experience of a game show where at least I was really nervous to go on. So I was happy to have that moral support there from Amber. But she is a holistic detox practitioner who is passionate about inspiring and empowering others to regain their divine health. She's a firm believer that of the body being capable of healing and regenerating itself. When we come into alignment with our divine design, body, soul, and spirit, she believes that aligning with a fruitarian raw diet and reconnecting to our creator not only restores us, it also brings us harmony of all creation. And her links are right below that. And I want to welcome Amber Rubin Moekardanoe. No, that's not it. You do it for me.
By the way, that's an amazing introduction. I feel very humbled just to, be here and just like, just seeing where God brought me from, like where I was at and where I'm now. I'm just so grateful. And so, yeah, really excited to be on here. So thank you for having me. So much fun to talk with you. We already got to know each other a bit. So it's just really fun. And the game was really fun. So you guys really check it out if you want to have like a good laugh and learn
Right.
something.
That's what I was like. I think once, like, I don't know if you've probably already noticed this about Amber from the few minutes we've been here, but she has a very, I would say, divine, right? Just like your channel, like very calming spirit. And if you're trying to, if you need a coach to like heal and mentally, spiritually, and reconnect, I think that you have that type of ability. And that was why I was so glad that you were on the show with me, because at that moment right before the game show, I was like, what did I get myself into? And she was like, it's going to be fun, let's just laugh and have fun. I'm like, okay. Yes, why was I getting myself so worked up? I was just like, I'm going to go for nothing and not know one answer. And then everybody's going to be like, why not listen to her for health advice, right? But
Mhm.
you totally diminished all of that and brought me back into the present to enjoy the moment, which was what it was all about. And I'm excited because even though we got to know each other a bit, I still did not get to hear your healing journey, like how you even got into knowing about fruit and healing and detox, and now you have all of this knowledge. Would you mind just like taking us back to the beginning, like where you were? Like, did you know anything about fruitarianism, or did you eat standard American? Like, where did this crazy fruit journey begin?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. Thank you, Jen. And oh yeah, by the way, my name is Moekardanoe. So it's a name from Indonesia, and I'm a quarter Indonesian and Dutch. And so you can try next time. What you
Wait a
did
minute.
for
Wait, say it one more time. I'm going to get it today.
Moekardanoe. Moekardanoe.
Moekardanoe.
Yeah,
Moekardanoe.
Moekardanoe.
Moekardanoe. No,
That's really good.
Moekardanoe.
Yeah, yeah.
Moekardanoe. I got Michelle who comes on here too. Hi, Mona. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Mona.
Um, Michelle Dupuis. I really messed up her name the first time. It was spelled Mupois. So, Moekardanoe.
Yeah, but like, how must you know if you never heard it, right? So you just try and then you find out.
Yeah, and then you find out it's completely wrong, right? I see. That's why I keep mine easy. JJ. All right, thank you, Mona. I know you'll love her journey. Sorry, Amber. Go ahead. I just had to get the name right.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I
I'll
thought
never
it's
forget it.
no. So wow, yeah, where it all started for me. Gosh. So I grew up with a Western standard diet, My mom, she was actually kind of conscious with food, but not like vegan or plant-based, or it was all very like she tried to do it as balanced as possible.
Hmm.
So it was Western. We would eat everything like omnivores, right? Um, but all in very small amounts. So I remember as a child, I was always a bit hungry, and I would have these cravings, especially for sweets like candy and or very salty things, which I now know had to do with a lot of fungus in my body, very weak adrenals. If you crave salt, it probably has to do with your adrenals that are very down because they're stimulating, right? Salt stimulates, and then
Hmm.
you get energy, but after that, like your energy goes or drops down again. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I grew up. But I remember really well that when I would eat something, I would always feel this like kind of pain in my stomach. I remember my stomach or like my GI tract was always just a place in my body that was very sensitive. And I also was the only one from like all my brothers and sisters that had issues when I would eat ice cream. I would feel really sick. Um, but yeah, over time, I learned like everybody is eating everything, so I should be able to do the same.
Hmm.
And then when I was around 17, my parents divorced, and this was very difficult, very just very traumatic experience because my father and my mom they didn't separate in a harmonious way at all. It was like war, I'm looking for
How
the
old were
right.
you, Sam?
Hmm?
What age were you around then?
Yeah, I was around 17.
Okay.
So,
You're
and
old
that's,
enough to see all of the drama in a sense, like I think some children that are really little kind
yeah,
of, even though they might see bits and pieces or they don't remember, but at 17 we pretty much are at our maturity where we know what's going on at that point. Not maybe fully everything, but you've seen enough
right.
life.
Yeah,
That's very difficult.
yeah, yeah, especially because as a child, I was always like very like harmonious, wanting to bring harmony to our family, but there was a lot of distortion, a lot of just fighting going on and feelings of unsafety. And from a young age, I also, yeah, I just had people call me names, putting me down, a lot of manipulation. So, looking back at my childhood and just growing up, I was like surviving in so many ways. And I really want to share this part of the story because my transformation, my plans, plans transformation.
Inspiration. Thanks for using the name of the show. Look at that.
Yes. Yes, it was not only about like finding a fruitarian diet because that's where I'm going, where I want to take you guys in a second. But it was also very like a lot of emotional trauma and just I think it's important to mention that's a part of why we get sick and how we can restore ourselves as well. So I developed a very like negative self-image. I was very insecure, very anxious. I always had like this depressed feeling, like there was a dark cloud hanging above my head. Um, and then I had all these physical issues from a young age. I also developed an eating disorder, so I was very like strict with my diet because I felt not good in my body. I was becoming a professional dancer as well. It was my dream to become a professional dancer, so I was training for that. So this was all around the
One
age of
place
like,
we differ. No one would ever call me a professional dancer.
what did you
That's
say?
one place we're different. No one would ever say I'm a professional dancer. You'll have to teach me how to dance.
I will, I
I have
will.
no rhythm.
Yeah,
I
oh
can play
gosh,
the guitar though. Maybe I can just play the guitar and you do the dancing. How about that?
that's amazing. Let's do that. I would love that. It's really still, it's still one of my like my big choice to do that. Um, but yeah, back then I was just struggling in so many ways. So I was having these cravings and I would binge eat. I would feel guilty, and then I had this voice in my head literally telling me, you have to, burn your calories and you have to get slimmer and more thin and skinny. And it was just like for years. It started when I was 11 years, like obsessed about food and my body, and just such a deep feeling of like emptiness and not being in a place where I, could even look at myself and be happy with what I saw. And
Wow.
then what happens
It's
when
hard to
my,
believe knowing you now that's where you were, the way that you're so positive and the energy within you. So
yeah,
congratulations on overcoming that.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's still a journey. It's not like this voice is never there anymore. But I think the difference is that now I recognize the voice and I know it's not true. So I
Mhm.
learn to differentiate and like discern the spirit or discern the voice that's behind it. And well, there's a lot to it, but yeah. So that time I was just super depressed. I would think about suicide. Like I really didn't see any reason why I was on this earth because I was suffering in so many ways.
Mhm.
Um, and the funny thing is that people would look at me and they would think, oh, that I was very happy. I was always very loving and kind to other people, very compassionate. But I was not able to give that same compassion to myself,
Wow.
right? And how
Yes.
many times we are able to like give compassion to others, but not to ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think that's. I was saying yesterday on one of the shows I was doing. Not even just to others, but to inanimate objects, and sometimes to our pets, maybe. But like,
Yes.
our car, for a lot of people who like, obviously most people still have cars that run with gasoline. Maybe that's changing into electric cars. However, for the most part, when you get a car, you're all excited and you're like, I'm not going to eat in it, I'm going to keep it really nice, I'm going to vacuum it, I got to check and see what kind of oil it takes.
Right.
I want to make sure I put the best gas in it, and I don't want to mess up and put like diesel in it, and I don't want to run it too much because I don't want a job where I have to go too far because I want to keep my car nice. And it's like all of that work you're putting into this object, if you would take that and transfer that to your own temple that you live in and
Yeah.
say, I need to rest my body because I don't want to overwork it. I need to look at what a human is supposed to eat and put the right things in it. I need to get rest. I need to move it around just enough. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like we just ignore that when it comes to ourselves, both like the thoughts we think, the way we look at our self image, and just everything. We look at ourselves like, oh, we can eat this, we can drink this, we can do this, at least a lot of our lives, until maybe we've reached a different consciousness. We just abuse our body and don't even sometimes know that we are like in like what you mentioned about your family. Like, it's the same thing for a lot of American families. They're thinking a well-rounded healthy meal is what the government puts as the food guidelines, that they have a meat, protein, we have a starch, we have a green vegetable, and we have this healthy lean cuisine meal that has tons of salt and dairy in it, but it says lean cuisine, so we think we're on a diet, and like there's
Right.
so many definitions and opinions of what healthy is that was put to us by media. Our family, our parents, and ourselves, we were doing, like, I thought at one point eating salads with ranch dressing was healthy, so it's like it's such a broad spectrum. And I'm really excited to hear about your journey, how you found, you know, the, where you are now. So
Yeah.
that was interesting, very deep, that you were kind to other people, because often people, there's another way they can do it too, and people are very angry or secluded, and it sounds like you were so kind and compassionate you didn't even want others to know you were suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is so true. I didn't want to bother other people, but I learned a lot about that because I think a big part of like learning to love yourself is learning how to ask for help, right? And sharing your story. Ask, know what you need and ask for it. But in the depths, I just felt like I was not worthy of receiving that love or receiving that compassion and that support. But yeah, so what happened, where I want to go to with the story is that when my parents divorced, I started taking really bad care of myself. I was already very, like, I had these abusive patterns in my life, right? Not listening to my body. I was never like giving myself time to really enjoy or really like rest because I did not know what that was.
Hmm.
I never learned how to really enjoy and just sit in the sunshine and just soak up the moment. And because I grew up in chaos and like,
Hmm.
you know, rushing and survival and fighting. So that was normal to me. And then when my parents divorced, I was just like, I could not deal with the emotions that came with that. So what I started to do was I started to go more to the gym. I started dancing more. I started my eating disorder, as I would call it, became even more distorted, more extreme. And at a certain point, I would just like eat chocolate for dinner, right? Because somewhere I saw when you eat chocolate, you're gonna feel happy. And I was looking for ways to find happy, but they were very
They were
destructive.
not the right ways, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I
would even go to alcohol and turn to like smoking weed and,
Mhm.
going out and finding like a lot of things outside of me to feel fulfilled or something that would like give me a feeling of soothing. I was looking for ways to soothe myself. And then at a certain night, I remember really well, I was laying in my bed and I was just feeling absolutely terrible. Like my body was shaking. I was having stomach cramps. I was sweating. And I thought, this is not like something is wrong. Something is so wrong. I had to run to the bathroom. I had to throw up and go, like,
Mhm.
from both sides. Everything came out. Um, because I ate this chocolate every night, right? So
Wow.
my body was just like, I cannot handle it
You
anymore.
can imagine, right?
Everything came out. And after that point, I was chronically constipated. It was terrible. I did not know what to do, what to eat, what to drink, everything I would eat would have like I would have so much pain in my body, like knife stabbing me. And then I went to the doctor and they said, well, we only have like these sackets for you, this powder you can drink and then you can go to the bathroom, or you need to have enemas. So I would have enemas every day and then drink this stuff. And I was looking like, what should I eat? So I found all this information on the internet. I tried every diet under the sun. And then at a certain point, I came to a kind of homeopathic doctor, and she told me that we are actually hunter gatherers. So this was around the age of 18. And so,
Okay.
like, she's probably right, right? She's a doctor. So,
Right. Thank you, Angela, by the way. She said that's a good example of the car.
mm,
And before I forget, I wanted to say too, like, thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your journey, because I think what we find when we get to a certain point, we actually tell some of our suffering when we get to a point we're ready, because I think you
yeah,
also are not ready to express it until you feel at least at a certain level of healing, because you can almost revisit it too soon.
yeah,
And it's when and I think that you realize after a while that other people are feeling most of that same thing, or at least someone out there, or many people, millions of people that probably, if millions of people ever listen to my channel, there's so many people feeling the same way that you did, that had families who, that might have went through that and things like that, and the same feelings of not knowing why they're still here or to be here. And then I think by you doing that, you can show them that there's promise, with whatever it is, whether it's, food addiction, or, eating disorder or emotional strain and mental ill. Like there's so many things that I love the people sharing their journeys with, everyone, because it's helping us all heal in a way, to let others know that you've experienced it as hard as it is, because you're literally helping save others by doing that, or at least helping them explore a different way to heal.
Yeah, that's so beautiful the way that you just said that. I totally agree. I think um, the world really needs this, like needs us to be vulnerable and share our story when we are ready, right, to revisit it. And it's been a while for me, so I've healed a lot from like my past and everything I've gone through, and like come out of the other end. Although there's still things, it's not like I'm perfect and I never get triggered or I never
Right.
experience pain. That's not the thing, because we're always growing and evolving. But yeah, that's the thing. I've always felt like so encouraged when I would hear someone's story, and then I just knew this is for me. One day, I'm going to feel like that. One day I will heal. I just had this deep trust that somehow it will be okay. So to go back to the story, I had this chronic constipation, and I started the paleo diet because, right, the doctor said that humanity, were actually hunter gatherers. So my diet changed from like Western processed food to predominantly meat, eggs, fish, and no carbohydrates, and
Oh no.
very little fruit. And the thing is, I loved fruit. I've always loved fruit, but I never was like fed with it enough. Or even my mom, she would not give us so much fruit. But I remember I always loved it. So I did that for a couple of years, and then, well, I still was constipated all the time. So I had to fix that with different, ways that I mentioned before. I did start to feel a bit better because, of course, I left out the processed foods and started eating cleaner. So that helped. But still, I felt off. Looking back, I felt off in comparison with like how I'm feeling now. It was just a different world. So I did that for a couple of years. And then at a certain point, had this, I moved to a different place and I met a man because of a friend of mine. And he was a raw vegan. So this was in
Wow.
2013, 14,
Talk about
right?
divine intervention, right?
Right. And there was also the time I was kind of like starting to become more open to spirituality again, because I had dimmed that down very much, which was also, I think, a reason for depression, because I was literally suppressing my divine nature, like my connection to God and creation.
Hmm.
Because I'm very like intuitive and sensitive and seeing and smelling and like hearing and feeling everything, and I suppressed all of that because I was just not able to deal with all the pain and hardship. So as I was slowly healing and getting therapy as well, I was meeting this raw vegan man, and we became really good friends. And he was super inspiring because he was, I think, 43 years young, but he looked 30. His skin was glowing. His eyes were just like, phew. And he had like these green juices and coconut yogurt, and he made all these sprouts. So he was more into the kind of green side of raw veganism, not
Hmm.
so much fruit, but still, it did something with me. And he never really preached to me, but he was just walking the talk. And
Hmm.
we, spent time together. He would make like food for me or bring me a juice or bring me I remember he came by and he took for me he brought a young coconut, and I was just instantly in love.
I have never had one of those, the little shaped white things where you take the top off. I was
Yes,
like, I see them on YouTube all the time, and I'm like, I need to find a market that has one
you
of
need
these. We
you
always
need
have
to
the
find it,
orange
Jen.
coconut.
Yes, yes, you need to find it. It's so delicious. And I was just in love. I was like, how is this possible? How is this even like created? This is so delicious. So from that moment on, I started to go on YouTube and also look for, other people that were doing that, because I thought, um, is he the only person or are there more people? So I found Fully Raw Christina, I found Dr.
Okay.
Morse, I found all these guys, Don Bennett, they were preaching
Mhm.
about it, Marcus and Cara Rothkrantz. And uh, yeah, I remember watching them and I was like, okay, I gotta do this. You know,
Right.
I'm just, because even a couple of weeks before like meeting that man, I was eating chicken one day. And I remember the moment I met him, I had like a flashback. And then I remembered I was eating this chicken and I just felt nauseous and I didn't understand why. And like a couple of weeks later, this man came. So I already knew I was being prepared of, I'm eating meat, but it doesn't feel
Doesn't
right.
feel right.
It doesn't feel right. I felt nauseous and like it was not right. I could not explain it. It was just that. And then I really dove into it. I didn't really transition. So I went from like paleo, like
We all
high.
have those revelations when we look back now. Like I can remember we like me and Dawn were coming home from, I think it was like a camping thing, or I forget where we were, and we stopped at this little breakfast spot, and like I could not get the smell of the, sorry about that, of like the breakfast sandwich. Like it just smelled, I said at the time gamey. I don't know if that's the word, but like I guess it was dead flesh, and like it just grossed me out to want to eat meat. But it wasn't at that was years and years before I even
Wow.
saw that documentary, or but it's like now that I look back on that moment, my own instincts were trying to tell me like, why are you forcing me to eat this
Wow.
flesh? It's so like it's weird, and I would have that epiphany like every now and then, but it never, all of those things that have connected in my mind were not ready or hadn't been presented to me yet. But now when I look back at those times of, why did I want to try, tofu so many times? Something in me was telling me you were supposed to want to like this, but my cultural beliefs and everything at that point weren't letting me go to that magnitude, or I didn't have any examples, yet.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I love you. You are so good at like making a small like conclusion of, like your reflection of, that's amazing. That's exactly how it is, because how that's also how I experience it now. That I look back and I just see these glimpses of like divine, right, intervention and guidance. Even like this girl that I had in the dance academy, at a certain point, she became vegan. And I was like, no, you cannot go vegan. Like, you're gonna die. You're gonna be
Right.
anemic. Like, you're gonna lose all your iron and you're just gonna break down. It's impossible. You cannot.
I
That's really,
used to take orders for restaurants too before I started working in customer service like industry, and I know what you mean because I would roll my eyes when the people would call to want vegan. Is there gluten, and is that cooked in the same dish as a, and I'm like, what is this? Is so weird. I thought at the time, like, why would they care? And it's like I have to remember those people or who I'm talking to most of my life. Like that me is how I have to insert this message to people. And,
yeah,
so I can't always be the weird vegan. I have to explain it in a way to people that somehow will maybe start a brief connection, because you're not going to change someone overnight, and they're like, we didn't change overnight. It had to be a progression of things leading up to it.
absolutely. That is so, so true. Yeah. So to get back to the story, where because it's 2024 and like so much happened in between. Because I I was very convinced, and then I started feeling better, and at the same time, I was still dealing with a lot of like inner, just emotional wounds and woundings, and searching for like spiritual truth. It was like there was this. I was still on in survival, I guess, or not being. I didn't feel at home.
Yeah.
You know this, like um, you're just looking for something out there, maybe, and until you found it, you will find no rest, right? So I still had that feeling of restlessness,
Yeah.
and then I made a trip to Thailand, and I had a very interesting encounter over there because I lost my wallet and everything in it. And I was like, universe, guide me into all truth. I just want to find the truth because I feel like it's not this, it's not what I'm doing here. There's more for me. There's something like
Hmm.
there was a missing piece. And then this man came on my path again, a man, very funny. And he started sharing about Jesus and about God with me. And so I was like, what is this religious dude? I don't want to have anything to do with you, you know? But he was very kind and he was like shining and radiant. I was like, what do you eat? So I know, Rob, because I look like you. So, but anyway, so because of him, just to make it a bit short, but
It's okay. Take your time. It's
okay,
later where you are, so you take as much time as you need. I'm more worried about you than me. It's only like 1 o'clock here, so I have
right.
the entire day blocked out because I won't even tell them what I did. I thought the interview was the 12th, and I looked at it too quickly, and it was 12 p.m. And
Yeah.
so that's why we were well. No one knows we were 20 minutes late. I just told them myself,
Now they
but
know. Now they
they
know.
know I couldn't help myself. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no,
I cannot tell a lie.
yeah. Well, no problem. It's all good. And yeah, so anyways, what happened was that I let's see. Yeah, so I was not very open, but I was
You met the man about Jesus.
yeah, yeah, but I was not open to it. But at the same time, I lost my wallet and everything, and I did not know what to do. Like, what could I do? So I was very anxious and looking for my wallet, and this guy was just like, "Hey, Amber, can we just sit down and just, you know?" And you cannot imagine because you just mentioned like how calm like I am, but I was not like that. I was like,
Right.
and
I think if
then
we all lost our wallet, there's a lot of stuff in there,
when you're
right?
in a different country and you're like, I don't even know how to get back,
It's
right?
not a good time to just relax and breathe, right?
No.
You think. I
But he was like, yeah,
think
that's a good
Christopher
time.
could help.
Yeah. So we did sit down and then he was asking me if he could pray for me. And I never had someone ask that for me, you know. It was so sweet. And the moment he started praying, I just felt this presence like coming over me that I cannot explain and I never felt before. And in that moment, I felt overwhelmed and I was weeping and weeping, and tears were just coming, and my heart was just like getting warm for the first time. Where all of the time I remember that my heart was always cold, my body was always cold, like there was no life there because I had blocked all those emotions
Right.
and the constipation and everything.
Right. Lots of blocks going on, right?
Oh, by the way, no, the constipation was gone because I went raw vegan, so that's a good thing to
Oh,
mention.
good.
Yeah, but
Because
then
of that experience with the green juice guy.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
good.
I turned, yeah.
You've
So I
seen how
was,
this channel came together, Divine Health Revolution. These two angels, I'm gonna call them, that came into your life. I feel
yeah.
that's those people we meet on our path that bring open those doors for us.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. That's really how I see it as well. Yeah, so that moment was just so incredible, and I, from that moment, I just started having, I started to change from the inside out, and well, yeah, it was very interesting because I wanted to learn about the Bible and getting to know God. But this guy, he was not like vegan, you know, he was eating everything. And so he was like, yeah, but you know, the Bible says you can eat meat and this and that. And I was like, yeah, sure, you can do that, but I feel much better not doing it. And then I came back to the Netherlands. I attended the church, and I was just shocked of how many people were just eating meat and processed foods, and everyone was suffering from so many diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they told me also, like, yeah, the Bible says you can eat everything because nothing is unclean. Um, it has to do with your heart. So you can eat everything, and if you believe it's good for you and you bless it, that's enough. And so what happened? I was very vulnerable in that time because I was still emotionally healing. I never learned what like healthy boundaries were. So I was new to Christianity and very open. And so I thought maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong, right? So what happened that very slowly I started incorporating processed foods, even some animal products. I was still mostly vegan, but also vegetarian. I never ate like animal flesh again.
Mm-hmm.
I still felt off, but at the same time, I didn't want to um, offend them, I guess. I was just not sure. I was not strong in myself to really stand for what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, I think this is exactly like what needed to happen for me to be sitting here right now with you and sharing my story with so much like confidence and knowing that I will never turn back again.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened over those years that I started feeling not good, like very slowly, but I started feeling more fatigued. I started having really like negative thoughts again. Well, raw veganism and like fruitarianism, it really like cleanses out your body. So also your brain becomes more clear. You just have more like positive energy. You're just this vessel of the divine, right? So I started clogging up my system again, thinking that somehow maybe I was able to bypass it. There was a part of me that was saying, Amber, don't do this. But the other part was, yeah, but they are saying this.
Yeah,
And
I know what you mean, right? Yeah, it's
I wanted,
difficult.
I think it's a part of people pleasing that I've learned that I had to learn the hard way that it's not important what people think, but the most important thing is that I'm true to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started feeling not good over the years and developing like skin issues, and my nails became very brittle. My yeah, especially my skin was like the one thing that was just breaking out. I started getting eczema and dandruff, in my hair, fungal, toe fungal,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
What else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just my digestive issues started getting worse again. Well, actually, they were kind of okay. They never were perfect because I had all these emotional issues and the lifestyle from such a young age that was not okay. But then um, it just started getting worse, and I remember I started a new study as well, and that was very stressful. And together with just eating not good foods and being stressed, um, at a certain point, there was like 2020 when COVID hit. Uh, I don't know. Can I say that? COVID.
Yes, you can say
Okay.
that. I don't think we're allowed to discuss the V word that goes along with COVID. I think that's where they get like the injection, if you want to call it. I
That
think
is
that's what the controversial thing. I think we're allowed to say that. I don't know.
okay. We'll find it out. So yeah. So
People be
what?
listening to this all of a sudden. It's like, and then in 2020, went, you can't
Yes. Yeah.
beep us out, right? But I think we can talk about it because I mean, it was the pandemic. Like it happened. So I don't think we're saying anything controversial unless there are people who don't believe it happened, which I doubt they could think that, right? I remember being locked in my house for some reason.
I remember something like that as well. Why was it? That like these doctors said things that yeah, very interesting. So it was an interesting time. And
Yes.
I remember not only for me but many people it was a stressful time, and then
Oh my whatever was happening with me emotionally, mentally, I was always like, as you were like able to keep things under control. And I didn't realize probably that the pandemic was where my anxiety, a lot of it came from. Like I was kind of blaming it on hormones in my mid 40s, and then I realized like one day, like, wow, okay, look at what literally the fear and everything that you were experiencing might have been directed towards something else. The worry about yourself, your family, what's the right thing to do. You know
yeah,
your body's healing, but you also are being told, the body's meant to heal. It was like all the health information, the food, and people were eating wrong, and it was just like everything, I think, came to a head if you already had emotional, type issues for a lot of people. Like I've heard that a lot. Like a lot of mental illness developed from that fear that people had,
yeah, it's really
or
tough.
that isolation even too. But
Yeah.
luckily, I was so happy to have social media at that time, because to have been alive during a situation like that, it would have been really, imagine how isolating, 20, 30 years ago, to have dealt with something like that. At least we had like TikTok and YouTube, and to stay connected with family and friends, and FaceTime, and
Yeah.
Facebook. And I definitely, while people can say negative things about social media, I find it's allowing us as, vegans especially, and those who feel they're giving the correct information, to be able to put our stories out, and really help people with, like you said, telling our journeys, and both
Mm.
people with mental health had those type of channels to go to. So I appreciate social media and find its benefits, rather than what some people use for negative. I got on
Yeah.
a tangent about social media. Let's go back. So we're on the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah,
Keep you here
preach.
all night. Go ahead.
So good. Yeah, I really I recognize what you say there, and so good. I'm very happy that you had those connections and you didn't feel isolated and alone, because I did, and I was not in a good place because I was, as my health was just going downhill. It was 2020, and already for 3 years I was having insomnia. I was having knife stabbing in my stomach again, because one other important thing that I didn't mention, I had my wisdom teeth removed on all sides, and I had so much pain that I was taking antibiotics to not feel anything. And then the burning in my stomach started, together with all the stress, together with all the not good lifestyle, not suited for me at least. I just, yeah, it was 2020 and I was burned out. I was having panic attacks, anxiety, so much pain, no sleep. And I just couldn't function anymore. But the reason, like, people tell me, Amber, like, how could you get yourself in a place like that? Why didn't you ask for help?
Because it's not what we do, right?
Right.
People don't. That's the scary part.
Exactly. I didn't. I really felt, especially after meeting God, and I was like, I can do all things because I have God inside of me. I
Mhm.
don't have to. I don't need anyone's help, and I want to prove also. I want to prove that I can do all things. There was like this thing inside of me that just wanted to have still confirmation from outside that I did a great job, that my dad was proud of me. He never said that. I desperately want him to be proud of me, you know? And so I just pushed
We are
myself.
all proud of you.
Thank you. So sweet. Yeah. So I pushed myself. And I was laying there in my bed, just crying because it was 3 years already. Every day I came back from my study or my internship, and I was crying because I could not eat. I had so much pain in my stomach. I was tired. I was anxious. Oh, my hair was falling out. It was like the worst
Wow.
health ever. It was even worse than before, right? Because before I was only constipated, and now it was just everything. I was just wrecked, and I was laying in my bed and I was crying out to God for like so many time. I don't know, can I say that? like the millionth time, maybe
Mhm.
so many times. And
But
that
see,
moment,
you kept that faith and that belief, and I think, he takes us through the journey to be able to help others that were in that same journey too.
oh yeah, I absolutely, yeah, this is like how God turns all things for good, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of like what happened because the moment I was in my bed and I cried out to God and I said, God, I don't want to live like this anymore because I was having suicidal thoughts already for those many years again
Mhm.
because I was just like
Yeah.
that in so much pain every day. And um, he took me back to this time that this raw vegan man came into my life. Just I had this vision, like I was taken back. I was laying in my bed and I saw this man and I just heard like this audible voice, remember, I brought him to you. Like
Wow.
the voice of God, like remember, this is your path. You gotta go back there, Amber. You gotta go back there. And I was like, oh no, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I did this before, but you know what happened. So I was just crying even louder, like, but I just knew I have to change. So what I did, I made a commitment and I started to transition to a raw vegan diet. But it was so much more difficult this time. It was so much more difficult because I was addicted to dairy. I was addicted to processed foods. I had all these emotional, like, um, emotional and social connections to food, that I've developed over the years, also with others that were like believers. And now
Mhm.
I could not eat with them anymore. Like all these things. I was just like, how am I going to do this? I don't want to be different. And okay,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So what is more important? And then I just started feeling better really slowly, and my digestion is still something I'm working on. It's not the way that um, I think it's able to function, but it's so much better, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just going to share a bit of the transition that I've made, just to for our audience to understand that
Can
it's a
you
journey.
share? I might have lost the year. When was this? Now uh, this transition when you had the kind of the intervention from in your bed where you saw the vision. Like, was that recent or
That was in 2020.
20? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good question. I know it's a bit of a
No, I'm enjoying the story. I forgot where we were with the years. Obviously I'm not doing well with time or years today or dates, right? Yeah, work with me, right?
I work with you. It's a great question. Just ask as much as you want. It's good. So
Maybe everybody listening was yelling 2020.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so too. Everyone's like,
I heard them.
Yeah. So, alrighty. So what happened? I transitioned. So first, no, at first I only did vegan, like 1 week only vegan, then like 1 week raw vegan, and then I just knew because I knew everything about Dr. Morse, and I started watching all those videos and testimonies. I was like, I'm gonna get myself back on track. I'm gonna get my health back, and then when I get my health back, I'm gonna share this knowledge. I'm gonna share it with people, and they're gonna heal. And even the church and Christianity, like they're all gonna wake up to this. I just felt this fire burning inside of me. I need to, go after this. This is not for nothing. And it was difficult because there were a lot of people that were saying like it's a spirit of infirmity. You need deliverance. You're sick because of a demon. You're sick because like this is real stuff as well. I've seen people being delivered from this may be a different topic, but I think it's important to mention. Um, there's a spiritual component to disease, an emotional one, and a physical one, or all of them. And so that's what they believe. But I had to learn, like the path that God took me on is the path of taking responsibility for my health and not pointing my finger towards anything evil outside of me. but taking full responsibility over my vessel, over this body, over my emotions, and my life in general. So I felt it very strongly that I just had to walk that path. And then I went fruitarian, and this is really where I started feeling so much better. I would wake up refreshed again. My digestion was so much better. And
What changed? Was that Dr. Morse for the most part, or what? Do you remember what caused you to kind of incorporate more fruit? And before I forget, can I say one thing really quick? I don't want to keep interrupting, but I just had this thought when you talked about there's a spiritual component and a component of food, and then we know about the gut brain, axis and everything, so there's a connection there. But I
yeah,
also feel like how we have to give our body the right environment to heal. We have to give our body the right environment to heal spiritually. So I think people try to make it black and white where they're not interconnected, but even spiritually and food can, and what we do to our body can be connected too. So I think both are right in a sense. There is a spiritual component
yes,
to healing, right? But there's also, if you're doing the wrong thing over and over, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere either, I think.
yes. Yeah, I think that's difficult for some people to hear, or not easy for them to hear, but it is cause and effect. What we sow, we will reap. And by the way, for those that are like biblical, or, this is very biblical. What you sow, you will reap. So, how can you expect health when you put things inside of your body that are causing death and decay? And not only to yourself, but also to like the entire creation, because we cannot expect like to kill the creatures that God has created and then take them in our body and expect health out of that. That's just, for me, it's very clear now. And I know it wasn't before. So I think everyone has its own timing, like in kind of awakening to that,
Mm-hmm. Hi,
right?
Muriel. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Muriel. That's so cool that we can see who is watching. That's nice. So, yeah. I was just thinking what I was sharing about.
You were talking about, so that you went, I was asking what caused you to change to fruit from just the, normal diet you were doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the thing is that I already knew all those things. So it definitely was Dr. Morse.
Mm-hmm.
It was fully Ra Christina. And I don't remember exactly, but I think I watched so many videos. And at a certain point, I watched a video from a girl who was also a believer, and she healed from fibromyalgia with a juice fast of 90 days. And then I was like, whoa, but that's not next level. I gotta try that. So I did.
Right.
So I'm so grateful for that experience, because that was just after going vegan, raw vegan, fruitarian, and then doing a juice fast was just next level cleansing and clarity and energy and just spiritual awareness and openness and feeling so aligned, and just for the first time having this thought, I think I can live, like I don't need food to live,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know that maybe sounds a bit um, scary or something, because we've been told like you have to eat or otherwise you will die.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly believe, and that's what I've experienced, that we live from more than just food. We live like from this conversation that we're having is nourishment, right? We interact, we give each other energy, or we um, how do you say that? I give it to you and you give it to me. Like there's this interaction going on. Also, like sitting in the sun is nourishment for your body, for your soul. Petting your cat, or just having a really intimate time with your partner, like really seeing each other, going for a walk, spending time in nature, communing with God. All these things I really noticed
Mhm.
after those 90 days that I'm not so hungry anymore. Like, I don't feel, I'm not thinking about food anymore the way that I was. I was always obsessed with food, with my body. And this is just something that God freed me from. And the interesting thing is that I'm not decaying at all. Like, I'm at a very healthy weight and I'm maintaining my weight. So how is that even possible, right? People would
Right.
say, you only eat one meal a day. How can you still maintain your weight?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not completely disintegrated either after months
yeah,
and months and months. Like actually today, I probably out of the last, I would say years, a couple of years, I've been raw a lot. But when I finally recommitted to like being completely raw, like how I started was like, I kept saying frugivore in 24, because I'm going to do that in January. And I still am. And I'm on like a nice level. Finally, it was just like years of trying to figure out, well, I lost too much weight. And that's because I was eating, I realize now, way too much just green, not fruit. And then when I
yeah,
figured out fruit, it was like that took me on my own journey, because then I was trying to figure out, like what to eat when I was concerned too much with the food again, instead of the journey and like just listening to my body. And this time I felt like I was truly ready again, from that amateur that did it the first time, that, maybe was trying to just getting into it and didn't know what I was doing. Like that, you have to know what you're doing. Your body tells you, but after a while of healing your body, now I feel like I know when I need to eat lunch and I
yeah,
know when I don't. I know what I need to eat because it's telling me that's what I like, almost like an animal knows instinctively when and what to eat and what it needs maybe to heal something, or if it needs not to eat if something's healing. It's just
yeah.
interesting to know, to be at that level. And now this time I don't feel like, oh, I'm losing too much weight. I don't feel like I'm overeating a lot. I just feel like I'm at the right balance, after you do
Mm.
it for a while. And I think that's important for people to realize, like, you can get too obsessed with what you're eating, and not listen to your body too, because if you're trying to force it to eat too much because you think you're supposed to get this many calories,
Worries.
and this and that, it gets confusing and you give up if you can't get it exactly right. So I think that's important to remember too if people are thinking of trying this.
Right. Jen, I appreciate you saying this. This is really important because I think we are the most confused species on this earth. Like looking at any animal in the the animal kingdom, they know exactly what is food for them and they are not counting calories. They're not thinking I need my B12. They're not busy with that at all, right? And
Looking for the what do you call it? There's not a cow walking around like, whose book can I read to figure out if I'm an omnivore, right?
yeah, yeah, and I get it, like, because we are more evolved in a way that we have consciousness, right? We can
You're
look from above at ourselves and like at the world and reflect and make different choices. But you can choose to be an omnivore, but it doesn't make you an omnivore, like we said at the beginning, because
Mhm.
everything in our physiology is, I think it was 98.7% um, of our DNA is shared with the primates,
Mhm.
right? With the bonobos, with the
Yeah.
chimps. And it's so interesting because when you look at all the physiological aspects, like the flat nails and the hands, and the way that they can perceive colors, that we perceive colors, um,
The length of the digestive tract, the way it
very important.
moves. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't have a tail. If we would be an omnivore, we would have a tail, or like we would have paws, or hooves, or claws.
And we might want to go chase a wild animal to take a bite of it.
Yeah, and I actually was yesterday like, I don't know if you know these
I
animals,
want
but
to pet wild animals. I don't know about other people, and I want to eat a blueberry.
yeah,
But it's like
exactly.
we don't. I think so many things are like your eyes open to it later on. Like, and if I would have heard someone telling me this literally like the Jen that was 20, I might have been like, dude, did you hear what that crazy lady was saying? Like, you're supposed to
Yeah.
be
Yes,
right.
totally.
Like, I would have. I
Yeah.
always said that. Like, if I would have had a conversation with myself, it's
Yeah.
like, I would have been like walking away, like, okay, all
Yeah.
kinds of people out here, isn't it? Right. But now I'm
Yeah.
like, I am that person trying to, like, I look like the crazy person who know, like, for me, when I found out about how the tree grows the fruit and the seed dispersal, and like that, it's like natural law, like everything made sense where nothing made sense before, right? Like,
Yeah.
um I think Kev Ramon, his name, he's like, I eat fruit because nothing else makes sense. I heard like a little quote on him. And like Eli, who was
Eli.
on there, he talks about natural law, like everything is designed a certain way. Every, chemical, every, you know object, every, like, fire, every plant, everything grows a certain way, and if you do this to it, this happens, right? But all of a sudden we think we're so different, when you talked about cause and effect. So
So
um
true.
it's amazing. So you started eating fruit. I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I started eating fruits.
Right.
And oh yeah, I did the juice fast. That was the thing. And from that moment on, I was just, there was no way going back because I've seen so much coming out of my body. I was honestly shocked that at day 90, I still had solid bowel movements coming out and like parasites. And
Really? See, I've never done a juiced fast, like, ever. And I like hear this from people, and I'm like, wow. So it like literally cleanses your digestion like that,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
you there's parasites in us, right? Like, is that bad gut bacteria? Is that what those are?
yeah, they're like small organisms that are eating from what you eat. So that's not fun. And they also give you the cravings for certain things. So they parasites can only like thrive and survive in an acidic environment, which is with most of the people the case, right? And especially the digestive system is so clogged up with foods from uh, all those generations before us. And I think this is really important to mention that when we come into this world, our digestive tract is not clean because we, um, how do I say this?
It was connected to our mother's food that
Yes,
she was intaking, right?
yes, and it also makes sense why I had so many issues because my mom, she had like 2 years before I was born, she had a parasitic infection. So I was brought into this world just probably full of parasites and just all these like gut issues because she had gut issues her entire life. But anyways, to go back to the juice fast, um, parasites they eat from the foods that you eat to survive, but they also send signals to the brain to make you crave certain things that are not good for you but good for them to survive. So when you do the juice fast, what it does, it really alkalizes the body and it hydrates all the hardened um, uh, tissue from the plaque, right? From all the old food-like substances that are still stuck in the body, in the GI tract, because all those foods they act as glue to our digestive system. They don't. People think, oh, I have a bowel movement every day, so I have nothing left there. But if it's not raw, if it's not fruit, it's still there. Because the only thing that our bodies can break down is like fruit and raw plant material and right raw nuts and seeds when they're soaked. But even that is not optimal. And I really noticed also in my energy and my digestion, like the only thing that really goes well with me is fruit.
Mhm.
And I do eat sometimes like salads and nuts and seeds, but I just don't feel as good, on it. So the juice fast, I really like. I know people have many ideas about it. It's not natural. Yes, it's not natural,
But what you
but
were eating for in my case 50 almost 40 years was not natural, right?
exactly. So it's the most natural, the most unnatural way, and the least harmful way. I would say not harmful at all to clean out your digestive system and give it a break. And you will not only have a clean digestive system, but also your cells will just get hydrated on a very deep level. And everything, everywhere where there's stuff that is damaged, cells that are damaged, they will leave the body. And it's incredible what the body can do when we go into a fasting state.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. Like, I did not really start getting into the holistic health portion of this journey until this past year, and really even more recently. And it just amazed me all of a sudden. I've been hearing that for years. The body can heal itself. Body can heal itself. It makes sense when you look at a cut on your hand, right? Like, you cut yourself, and you, as long as you don't keep pouring salt on it, or keep reactivating it, it will just send what it needs over there. Your body is like, okay, let's send the blood cells, let's get it fixed up, and we
Yeah,
will eventually give it a week. I mean, you have to take, depending on where, how deep it is, you gotta wait a little bit, right? And then
yeah,
it's like your cells, I had no idea that our cells change and can recreate, and also what we do for ourselves can stop those cells from, like, I guess, proliferating, and it can literally change, like, your body is ever working inside to keep you at this natural state. And I just didn't realize that is what was doing it. Like, it wasn't, I was putting an orange in and this was happening, because if I put the orange in and my absorption is not there because of other things blocking it, so you can't just like blanket say eat an orange if you're in the state that you may have been in, because while it'll make you feel better, you're still kind of clogged, I guess. And I have so much more to learn, but I know you're one of the things that says, like, a detoxification is so such an, like, amazing system of, organs. And I'm like, so much about it. Like, now exactly what happened within you, like,
yeah.
and so important. Like, I think I've heard you mention the lymphatic system a couple of times. So the juice fast, yeah, that's amazing. And you said after 90 days you still had the solid.
Bowel movements. Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. But talking about detoxification, I'd like to say a bit more on that because I thought before the detoxification is just something you do, right? You put all these things in, and then that is detox. You just do a detox, and then you go back to your old ways. But detoxification is actually a natural process of our bodies. And
Mhm.
the problem is that we've suppressed that process because the body is always, like you said, looking for ways to cleanse and heal itself. And as we like work with the body and create the right environment with the fruits, with the juices, with fasting, with love, then uh, the detoxification process can just be in a normal, like God-given, can function again the way it should. Yeah.
Can I ask what you, because I'm always interested in this, because some people like say that if you take the fiber out of the fruit, it will spike sugars and things. Like, what type of juice did you use to actually cleanse? Was it just like different fruits, or was it one fruit so it didn't confuse things? Or, like, how did you, was it greens? I just want to know really quick. That's for my own personal. You're like, yeah, book an appointment, JJ. Oh, don't try to get all your health advice over here. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Awesome. This is a great question. Such a good question. Yes. So I did many different juices. I honestly, this is what I do. I go to the farmers market, supermarket. I look what is in sale. So that's what I did. What was in sale, I would, buy that. And so there were seasons of watermelon because it was 3 months, 90 days. I did watermelon juice. Then I did grape juice or orange juice, or I mix some things up. I did a bit of green juice, but mostly fruit juice
Mhm.
because I wanted to especially like have the astringent properties of the fruits, which mean they pull out toxicity from the cells. And greens don't do that job. Greens are good, but they are for detoxification not the best. Um, I mean, for deep detoxification, they are not the best to choose. Greens are more for building,
Mhm.
just like
For the
nuts and seeds.
minerals and things, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm not saying don't drink green juice. It's not good. I think it's good to have a balance in that. But I would have like, um, I think 70% fruit juice and 30% green juice.
Okay.
Like that was my ratio, kind of. And um, about the fiber, which was a really good question as well. So when you juice, you maybe don't have like these big fibers, but you still have small fibers in it.
Mhm.
And the sugar spikes we talk about, when you have sugar spikes and don't feel well on fruits, this has to do, and I know that you know this as well, because there's too much fat in the system.
Mhm.
And fat surrounds the cells with a layer, and therefore when sugar comes into the body, it cannot be absorbed by the cell, but it comes directly into the bloodstream, and we get these like weird diabetic symptoms, right? Like dizziness and not feeling well and hyperness or feeling really tired afterwards. um, Also tremors and stuff like that has to do with it. um,
And just
but
to be
yeah.
clear, too, I think the insulin that's required to get into the cell, sugar from fruit doesn't require it. And so, like, it's basically the best thing once you've cleared those cells for you to eat going into your cell is going to be the easiest thing for you to eat. So that I feel like there's such a misconception with that. And obviously, I'm not a medical doctor, and see your doctor if you're on medication to have it monitored if you're healing yourself, because you may need to have him change the amount slowly to lower it for you. But I think that's one of the misconceptions that's out there, where you'll get these comments if you share a fruit meal. People are like, you're going to get diabetes. That's not at all. Fruit sugar does not cause diabetes and never has it. It's a misconception, because once you have your cells clogged, of course, when you eat sugar, it can't get where it's supposed to. So it's like, when all our drains are clogged, we think that certain things are the bad guy, and it's like, really, we need to get to the root cause. That's
Yes.
the point.
So good, Jenny. That's so true. Yeah, really go to the root cause.
If someone is experiencing that, would you suggest, for a certain period of time, juicing more greens and less fruit at first?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I also wanted to mention, if you have issues also with the sugar, there are certain herbs that can help your glands that are responsible for insulin and all those kind of things to strengthen them. So that's also something that I give my clients. When I hear about what they're going through, I just check in and see what kind of herbs would be beneficial for them. Because detoxification, I think if you're new to this and you don't know what you're doing, it's really good to work with someone who is, who has gone through the path and
Ask for
knows.
help. Didn't if that's the
Ask for
moral of the
help.
story, right?
Exactly. That's the moral of the story,
And
and
how do
then,
they connect with you while we have everyone here? Like, is
yeah.
it through the Instagram? Is that the best place? That I have that link and the other one, and I think I still need to add your Facebook group too. But
Hmm.
I put the YouTube, and that is there anywhere else, or is that the best way? Sorry
Yeah,
about the noise.
yeah.
I have my window open.
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, you can find me at Divine Health Revolution at Instagram, and you can just send me a DM. And, I'm always open to talk and give advice and stuff. And if you want to book a call, you can call me for free, like the first 30 minutes, and just see. I think it's important to feel if someone resonates with you, you know, because there are so many amazing people out here, like sharing this knowledge, and just feel like, okay, is this for me or not? And yeah, you can also find me on Facebook. So that's Amber Rubin Moekardanoe. But I think you already mentioned that. Oh, that's so sweet. Love you, JJ.
Love you, Dawn.
Oh,
JJ,
that's
so
so
yeah.
sweet. I love the encouragement in the chat here. It's so nice. Oh,
And
so
so,
yeah.
can you say that again? I went to the chat to type your to type it, and so I could type your thing in there, and I saw that, so I wanted to
Yeah.
share it on the screen. Okay,
Yeah,
so we've got.
sure.
I think I have it in the description. I'm just going to reshare it in the description so people are the comments, because I find it's always easier to click on the comments too. Maybe I'm lazy and don't go to the descriptions, right?
I think it's the same. I think you already wrote it down. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share them in there while you're talking. Thank
Mhm.
you so much. I think it's a great idea to get help, especially because you have the proper certification and have the knowledge. And I know my journey would have been a lot easier if I had someone experienced to work with from the beginning, you know.
Mm.
But if you're at a point where you've tried this and it didn't work, and you tried again and it didn't work, and you find that you know this is your path, but you can't stick to it, or you don't feel right, or you feel like you have to eat too much, not enough, I think it's important to have that guidance, because so many people have said that when they finally just came to it and said, you know what, I'm going to call a special, someone who specializes in this, because we have no problem going to a doctor when needed, so this is the same thing. You're just going to a specialist who is specializing in the natural way of healing, I think.
Yeah, and that's Jen, that's what I did as well because I did listen to Dr. Morris and many like specialists, but I really felt I need to work with someone who is, who has studied for this, who has experienced it herself or himself. And then this is where really like this passion and this fire started burning even more that I want to do this because it was so inspiring to me and I learned so much. And I was like, this is what people need to hear. So yeah,
Is
I
that where
really
you studied about this, like with Dr. Morse, or was it on your own?
Me, yeah. So I did my own studying and I learned from the people that studied at Dr. Moore's. So
Oh,
I worked with two detoxification specialists over the course of like healing my body.
uh-huh.
And oh, I see someone is saying, I have problems going to my doctor. Actually, don't trust the bastards. Yeah, go. We feel that with you. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. You can trust them with some things, but I think not with everything. So, but I believe you have wisdom in that and discernment. So,
I think a lot of that distrust comes from like, I think we realize that most doctors, when they start out, I think, when you're growing up and they want to be a doctor, come into it with like wanting to help and wanting to heal people. And then
yeah.
when they get into the medical profession, a lot of it isn't focused on holistic health. It's more focused on, if this is wrong, here's how you give a medication to fix it. And they're very knowledgeable, and they definitely help save a lot of people. Like you said, emergency situations, that's where we want to be. We're blessed to have them. It's just that connection, like certain practices are starting to incorporate that more, but it's a very like tough balance between what the world has been created into pharmaceutical wise, and wanting to now like get back to the root cause of health and that well-rounded, you know um I guess what you would say, like a holistic approach to it, where it's like sunlight, rest, sleep, emotional healing, and cleansing the body, or the constant detox that your body's trying, giving it the right environment. I think that's missing completely and never even told to people when they go to the doctor for most health conditions.
Yeah,
Look
Jen.
at what would happen if we could prevent and get people early, like when you go to that first checkup, start, hey, so what do you eat? Let's get you right, you know?
That's the thing. Yes, so well said. Because I went to my doctors when I had all these issues, and they literally said to me, "You have no issues. Like, we cannot find anything wrong with you." But I said, like, I'm almost like feel like I'm dying. Like I have so much pain. I'm suffering. You know? Can't you see that I'm suffering? I was like,
Something is wrong, right? I can tell something wrong, you know, like
right.
you don't
I was like,
you
I cannot wake up. Yeah, and it's really crazy. I
Somebody in my
even
family is experiencing that right now, like as we speak.
Mm,
That's why I looked down a little while ago and I shared your video with her. And before I go off of that, I just wanted to say congratulations, Dawn, or in the chat it's J&J Video Reacts. She is completely been fruitarian now for I don't even know how long. We're not counting because that's when things get muffled, when you try to count and then you know, so we're just
it's
not
true.
saying that's her lifestyle now. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy for her that she's feeling a lot better. And
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
And what was I gonna say? Oh, so if you're listening and you know who you are, listen in, because it's a lot of you know, a lot of good stuff here that I've been kind of telling you, that there are people that can heal from things when the doctors don't know what's wrong. So thank you for sharing your journey again. Hopefully you're
Hmm,
helping someone very close to me too.
I hope so. Yeah.
So I stopped you at the juice fast.
Let's see. Where were we?
We got
Uh,
on the detox information, I think, based on the you did the
oh,
juice
yeah.
fast. Mhm.
Yeah. I wanted to also say something about what you just mentioned, which was really good about holistic, right? Because when we hear the word holistic, like many people think about hippie woolen socks, which are, by the way, not vegan, but um, kind of like woo woo. We think about woo woo. Holistic is woo woo, and it's not, but it's honestly like returning to how we are designed, because we are body, soul, and spirit. But when you don't know that, or when you don't believe that, or are not open to that information, not, I guess, not really seeking truth, yeah, of course, then it sounds all woo woo to you. And I have, you know, I have people around me that are thinking that I am woo woo, or they don't believe that it's my diet that
Yeah,
honestly really
definitely.
changed.
We're all woo woo.
Yeah, we're all woo woo, but I think it's actually the most grounded thing that you can do is to return to your species specific diet. There's nothing woo woo about that. And like returning to, aligning with nature. It's very natural, it's very normal. There's nothing woo woo about that. But going to a pharmaceutical, which is, I think in Greek, it was pharmakia, it means witchcraft.
Really? Oh,
Or
that's
something like that. I need to check it again, but you can look it up what it means. Pharmacy. Let me see if I can find it. And then you have
I'd like this one. I think it's on YouTube or somewhere. They call themselves Pharmacy. I think like the FARM. I forget who it is.
yeah, it's, I don't know if I can find it now.
I'll try to look it up while
Yeah.
you're.
Okay. So pharmacia is a combination of the Greek term pharama, form ie, okay, to charm or enchant, and co resulting in pharmaco, means magic, charm, cure, potion, or medicine. But actually, what it says, it's like enchanting. It's like a spell. It's like a potion, or it's magic, but it's not. I think this is not even the complete description, but it really has to do with like putting all these things together that are. Uh, I'm seeing this. Well, I look at that later. So these things that are not. natural, and bringing them together and then using it as medicine, but actually it's bringing harm to the body.
And I think that the way that we treat it with, like, let's say food, we are putting things in that are giving our body the environment to be able to heal and back into homeostasis. We're not really solving the issue when we put pharmaceuticals in. While they have a place, because if you're already at a terrible place and you're at a point where you're getting, you need that and you don't have the time to heal, of course at that point you need it, but only temporarily. I think people decide, sometimes that, or are told that they need this forever. Like when you are diagnosed with, let's say, diabetes or high blood pressure, people just go, I had to go on the medication. It should be more or less like, a severe infection where you don't have time to heal yourself. You take antibiotics, which that's a whole nother story. But if you need them, you take them for a very short time, as the
Right.
shortest time possible to get to that point, and then you can begin to heal. But I think like that's where things have gotten twisted with a lot of money involved too, because
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, when we're going to start talking about that, it just makes me. I see this really funny. You both sell chakra powders and the tears of fairies for cash, super woo, and I don't trust either of you.
we'll
I'm
come
just
on
joking.
with our woo-woo outfits next time. That's great. Yes, we figured you were joking. Thank you. I was hoping,
Sure.
right?
By the way, to be really serious, I prefer like selling that because it's closer to nature than all these different things. But anyways,
Thank you for the laugh.
yeah.
My new name is Woo Woo JJ.
Ooh, JJ.
Woo.
Yeah, let's change our name. That's good. So,
Divine Woo Woo Revolution.
revolution. Oh gosh, yeah. So, I guess it was kind of the story. And definitely try the juicing if you feel like maybe I should try that out. And I think it can do wonders, for so many people to just do a week of juicing, see how you feel. Just,
Mhm.
I mean, it's maybe not 90 days. I truly believe that a long-term juice fast is like the best you can do if you want to transition to a raw diet,
Mhm.
because you will get all like your cells are completely renewed, and then you get all those good things inside your body. It's just it finally can truly get absorbed. And yeah, I think our bodies can function more effectively as well when we really clean out the system.
Awesome. And so you
That's,
did the 90, was it 90 days you did right there at the beginning?
yeah, yeah.
Nice. And then you transitioned just to, is that when you began just the more fruit or mostly fruit?
Yeah, I was already doing fruit. Actually, yeah, mostly fruit before the juice fast, but I think there was like maybe 2 months that I did that. And after that, yeah, I still, call myself fruitarian because, first of all, it's our natural diet. And yeah, I mostly eat fruit and some salad here and there, but I honestly always feel satiated with fruit. But after a salad, I always have the feeling, maybe I want to have some fruit. Yeah.
I actually have never done juice fast. So Amber, this question would be for you.
Did both of you get rid of parasites? Oh, yeah.
I apparently have them still crawling around in me right now. I'm gonna get out of here and make a juice.
Maybe. I think we all have a lot of work to do. Yeah, but I got rid of so many parasites, like worms, like really visible worms. And if so, was there a big physiological shift after it? Less. Yeah, absolutely. Like cravings were gone. I had no cravings anymore. The only thing I craved was fruit. But during my juice fast, I had so many times that I dreamed about pork, and I didn't even like pork. like things that I've never eaten before, like hamburgers and stuff. Like really a lot of cheese, a lot of processed foods. That was all during my juice fast. But after that, the only thing that I craved was fruit. Like,
I think it was when you look at a lot of mental health information, especially like with intrusive thoughts and negative things. I think when you start to basically get to another point of consciousness where you're able to identify those as negative thoughts, there's a part where your brain is trying to solve a problem, and when it doesn't, it comes almost harder at you. Like it's like, wait, aren't isn't this what we're doing now? We're not craving this anymore. And I think it might have been those cravings returning to try to get in, or those parasites like, no, I'm not.
yes, yes. And also, I believe what happened because I noticed a pattern at a certain time that when I was juicing, right before I would have like a huge release of like mucus plaque or like really bad stuff that I don't even want to get into detail, like how it smelled and what it looked like was just terrible. Like, oh, right before that, I would have those thoughts. Or I would have it especially in the night, and then the next morning, what
Hmm.
came out, it just made total sense because the parasites, they make a home in the GI tract underneath all those layers. So every time you're shedding a layer, there are different parasites. And of course, they're trying to seduce you to get those foods so they can survive. But yeah,
Did you find that you were able to, like, different things that were going on with you? Was the sleep quality better at that point? And did you also feel emotionally um, better as well?
those are really great questions as well, really. I have cried so much during my juice fast. And this is how, yeah, it's just another proof that our emotions are so connected to our guts, right? To our GI tract. All those emotions that were stuck in my belly, like all those years. Uh, yeah, I really had the chance to release so much of that. And at the same time, I started to um, grow, like it felt like I was growing a lot of confidence, because I was feeling really strong because I was so self-disciplined. Like I'm doing this for my health and I'm getting healthier. I was really focused on this goal. Like, where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Who does God call me to be? Right. So I was getting emotionally stronger and at the same time, like being more in tune with my emotions. And the other question that you asked was about.
Congratulations, Goob. He said I got rid of parasites and instantly good cravings went. It was shocking.
Well,
Back to cooked food. Well, congratulations also, for
uh,
going on your path and trying the juicing.
really awesome. Yeah. And he said, I went back to cooked. Goop, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but I also went back to cooked several times after my juice fast. And not because I craved it, it was just I had certain situations in social gatherings and just things that were happening in my life. I was emotionally overwhelmed, and somehow I wanted to go back to like a place that was safe for me, I think, and
Hmm.
that I knew if I go there, I'm just going to numb myself. Because when you're raw, you cannot numb yourself. It's like impossible. You're just feeling it all. And so I went back and oh gosh, I felt so bad. All those times I did that, I felt so bad. Like completely like I was
I think you and I have talked about that when I ate that weekend of cooked
yeah,
food. I woke up sick on Monday. That for the first time in 4.5, maybe over that years, I've never felt congestion or anything. And I think
yes.
that's because our body, our microbiome, got used to what we were feeding it, and so we switched it up on it, and it definitely can, you know especially if you've done raw long enough, that can be a major um like, I guess, shocker for the system, right? Like, what is all this? And I did like whammy. I ate some, I was on whole food, then I went to not only, processed too, in addition to just cooked food. So it was,
Oh,
I started out with just like beans and rice, and then the next day we had like tacos with like the imitation meat, and it's like I feel like almost like I'm talking about a different person. And because, like you said, sometimes social situations, like it was the holidays, it was, I also went to cooked food a lot because I thought I needed that to gain weight. Like I felt like I could never maintain my weight being raw, and that was really
yes,
because I didn't allow my body time to get to a point of level with absorbing nutrients. I feel like I was always, rushing it. And then when I found out, that's where I started looking into fruit, because they were like, yeah, use fruit. That's going to bulk you, add carbs that you need to maintain weight. But of course, if I'm not absorbing the nutrients properly in the beginning, or allowing my body to adjust to, hey, okay, this is how much I need, I think I kept
mm,
rushing it. And then once I just let it go, like this time after 4 months, I don't feel like I'm continuing to lose weight. I don't feel like I'm having to overeat. I feel like it's finally reached a place of balance. While I feel like, to your point, I feel my digestion's good, but not where it needs to be. And that's why I
yeah,
was asking about the juicing,
mm,
'cause I never had that, really, that transition even 5 years ago, from when I was eating standard American, and I just went completely into eating salads. So I never really did it, any type of juicing or transition period.
yeah,
Goob said they are clinging on for life after big detox symptoms. Always there is a big progressive release on the way. Good.
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. We gotta have him on. I think he has a good story to
Oh,
share.
thank you for being here. I'm not familiar with the name unless it's someone that I don't know the name on YouTube. Is
Yeah,
it? Do you know them?
I know him, but we haven't
Oh, good.
chatted. I did see his name, yes, on my channel. Yeah,
Oh,
so good
cool.
to have
Okay,
you
well,
here. It's so cool to see because I used to be like this person always following others, and now it's just kind of weird that people are following my channel. But of course, it's like, of course, when you start a channel, that happens, and that's what I want. I want people to hear this message because it brings so much freedom and healing. So
go to
feel
the
very
YouTube.
happy to have
Like,
you here.
subscribe to her YouTube channel, Divine Health Revolution. It's awesome. I mean, she has already a ton of great interviews on there. I watch every one. I just finished watching the Fruitarian one, and then the lady that
Mm.
healed her entire family was amazing.
Oh, thanks. And Janice on there as well, so you got to hear her story.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I get to be on there.
Yeah, so it's so cool. And I think it's also, I see another thing. I'm a detox failure. I've tried doing it properly for 2 years. I did 2 30-day juice fasts and then became pathetic and failed. Uh, and he says, day one again, Goop, I think you're doing amazing and it truly is a journey. And if you fell off, honestly, you know how many people failed? And it's not about being like failing and being a failure or pathetic. It's honestly like one of the hardest thing to do to break free from this food addiction and to be like different than everybody else. And I think what you're doing, day one again, like congratulations. You're just doing it. You're just trying it again. And then maybe you fail and then you laugh about it and you're like giving yourself a big hug and you're like, I
It's
get
all
my
part of your journey too. When you're ready, it will stick. Trust me. Like, you're emotionally and everything, like, and it's not really, I don't think, a failure. I think you're still probably doing some good for yourself, because you're on that path where you're starting to become demotivated about eating the old way. Like,
yeah,
I found that for certain points, like, when I was eating processed food for a while, I started to feel like every time I eat it, instead of that, like, oh, this is so good. Yeah, I got to get more of this. I was like, I really don't want to be eating this. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, this is giving me that negative feel. When it starts to do that, it might not happen right away. You might have to try 10 times to go raw again, but eventually that is going to stick. And once you
yeah,
get to the third day of any type of, thing, I think your body is starting to accept and say, okay, this is what we're doing. But you got to get past that point. It's not easy at first because things don't taste right when you go raw at first. If you've been eating a lot of salty stuff and you don't,
yeah.
so I commend you for at least most people aren't even near that level of consciousness to even want to try to detox.
It's true. That's why you're making incredible steps. And Muriel also says that's how we learn. And
Yes.
Muriel, I totally agree. This is how we learn. And, I used to be always this person that just wanted to have everything perfect, like immediately. But like getting sick and burned out and just going on this journey learned me so much about it's about the process and about growing in compassion and love. And it's not like I have to be a perfect fruitarian or a
Mhm.
perfect raw vegan. Yes, I strive to live in truth in every area of my life, but I'm not always doing that because I'm not perfect. I do strive for it, but I do make mistakes here and there, right? And that's okay. And we can just have grace with ourselves. So,
Definitely. And I think I was saying this on a post yesterday on my page that we have to like we want to enjoy, like look at, get excited about what you can have and the healing, and not so much thinking about the lack, as hard as it is, or what
yes.
you're getting away from or missing out on. Let those things come in, like, to your mind, but then get yourself on, you can accept and say, you know what, yeah, that is something I used to really enjoy. However, let's go, um, however you shop for food, whether you go to the store or you get online and do your shopping, like for a new shipment of fruit, and let's get excited about it. Keep lots of things around, get excited, look, immerse yourself in videos. Like there's tons of raw vegan healing interviews. Learn about the body, about detox, like so much to a point where you're gonna, like, you get completely like into it and excited about what you're doing, as opposed
Yeah.
to sitting there like miserable, like, I gotta drink this juice. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's important because we don't, if we're miserable at something, eventually we're not gonna, succeed at it. We're eventually gonna give it up. And I think that's, it has to resonate and be who you are and what you're doing in your lifestyle now, not like something when we try for a little bit. I think that helps too, or has helped me anyway.
Yeah, that's so well said, Jen. I totally agree with you. That's so good.
Learn to enjoy the journey one step at a time, or one meal at a time. Thank you, Muriel.
Yeah.
It's on my Veganowledge
There's so much,
page, Muriel in the Raw. She's so encouraging. I like.
yeah, so much grace on our messages. Keep it going, yeah. And oh, I might have to just keep fully raw to transition better. I've learned an immense things for sure. I'll keep it up. Yeah,
Good, good.
good for you. Yeah, come on. We are with you. We encourage you. Just keep going. And you'll be okay. You're already okay. That's the thing. Sometimes we just need to laugh about it ourselves, Like we maybe take ourselves too serious sometimes.
I have no problem with that, though, do I? I love that.
That's good. Yeah, and also, Goop, if you want to reach out there to get some help or just have like a conversation with me or with Jen or with others, like just reach out because you don't have to do it alone. I think I still have contact with um, my detox specialist, which I worked with then, and we just like keep each other updated, and it's so valuable, like
Mhm.
to share the journey and where you're at, and just when you have questions, just ask them, because that's one thing that's also I think one reason why people maybe fail, you know, or cannot stay consistent is because they don't have the community and don't have the support. So yeah, love for
Definitely.
you, to reach out and find
Yeah,
your.
reach out to Amber and have a conversation, and I think that would help. And then, like, what I try to do, and hopefully Amber will come be able to join. I'm going to try to start doing them earlier, because the ones we've had, like the open forum conversations, and maybe you can even like stream it on your channel too. I think it's
Ah,
important to have that like community to talk to about being vegan, or about being raw, or about detoxification, because in our regular life we have no one around us. Usually we're like the only one doing this, and I
yeah.
think that makes it hard. And I just like to have those just those live streams that are just for people to click the link and come in, and talk about it, and get some, not even guidance really, but some support from people who know, or just have conversations, or like, this happened last week and I had to like deal with all these people that were eating other things than me, or this, you know what I mean? Or hey, here's what I put together, here's what I've been eating. I just think it's important to have that
Mm.
community of people, and I think YouTube, and like, again, that's a good place to do it. And I think though, for the actual detox, and the also the guidance, calling someone who's professional that does this is a good way to do it. And I definitely think, especially if you've tried sometimes, I think a couple of times, I think Amber would be a great guide for you.
Mm. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I really love this
You didn't
conversation,
even pay me to
man.
say that, I promise.
What did you say?
You didn't even pay me to say that, right? I really mean that.
No,
This is
that's
not
so sweet.
sponsored, right? People are always like,
Oh,
on
that's
your
so funny.
channel, somebody comments about something, they're like, "Were you paid to say that?" Like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. That
I'm not
happens
even,
all the
my
time.
channel's not even big enough for anybody would pay me to say anything.
No, you're just like so kind-hearted, and also you're
Oh, way better.
supportive and encouraging. But you also see, I think, you have this discernment to see like the gold in people, where and the potential. And yeah, I really appreciate you and the work you do, like your passion and the groups that you started. Man, so good. We really need that. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. He's said thanks for the kind words and such. Yeah, I definitely don't have much detox support. I have the tools and knowledge, but struggle with motivation.
Mm,
Yeah, that's hard. Well, I'm proud of you for doing that, for continuing on.
exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Muriel.
Mm.
And back to the exciting story. Well, I keep. It's a good thing though. I like the interaction, right? So
Yeah,
interrupting you, sorry.
me too. I do gotta go soon, like in.
Yes, let's go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna wait till the end to post any other questions or my own, so that I can help let you get through your journey, because I really want to hear how you got to like today.
Yes, I thought we were already there, but it's not true. Where where were we with the story? Um,
We were on fruit at the end of the juice
yeah,
fast.
yeah. So, yeah, yeah. The thing is that with the juice fast, I got such like clarity on like my purpose and what I wanted to do. This is how I started my Facebook group and the YouTube channel, and just getting over like my insecurities and fears, um, because it's not about me. I just really really want to share this message. And yeah, today I'm still eating fruit. Actually, yesterday we had a Easter lunch, right, with our family,
Hmm.
and um, they ate everything, and I just ate melon, and they all wanted to have my melon. They loved the melon, so.
That's amazing.
And then later I had oranges, and they were like, "Oh, can I have some oranges?" And then I always give fruit to them because I just want to, in a positive way, manipulate them,
Right.
influence them. So yeah,
That
Yeah.
is amazing. And so, and again, your Facebook, it's all Divine Health Revolution, right? It's under the
Yeah,
same name. That's good. Good
exactly. Yeah.
uniform. Divine Health Revolution on Facebook, Instagram, um, and also on YouTube, of course. My
Yeah.
favorite that I'm on mostly, but I also, oh, I'm on Facebook a lot, watching your posts too. But um,
Mm.
Instagram, I have to get more. I have to be on there more. I tend to go gravitate towards my old
Yeah, but you,
comfort zone.
I feel like you are like everywhere. You're commenting there and here, and I
I'm
don't,
trying to be better with everywhere. So
well,
I
you're,
like when I find good people, like when I see your, posts, I think they when I comment, they actually show up more like the algorithm, right? Like so
true.
I'm
You
happy
do.
to see that. I like flooding those positive,
Aw.
fruitful messages. So thank you so much. Like that, I think it's going to help so many people what you shared today. Not only your journey, a lot of people share about health challenges, but when you think of it, you don't always think of how the mind is incorporated into your healing journey. And I really appreciate you sharing, that about your past and helping
Mhm.
people, especially younger people who might be in that situation right now, or any type of age where they are feeling helpless, basically, and just, and to see where you've come to and your
Mhm.
like just how your journey has made you so like you just seem really at peace and really healthy and the way you've healed all the digestive issues and you're so mentally clear and you're in this passion now to help others and you're doing it for clients, so I really am proud of you and appreciate everything you're doing.
Wow, thank you so much, Jen. That means a lot. Like being here on your show, it's really an honor, and I love your energy. I feel like the first time I talked to you, it already felt so like natural, like we're friends already. And
Hmm.
really, thank you so much that I could come on and share my story because we've been talking almost for 2 hours. And
Right. I can't seem to do a live stream under 2 hours anymore. What is
it's hard
I
to keep
know.
it short, but it's difficult
Look, it's
sometimes.
already gotten dark there, and you're in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, it's
So
true.
yeah, we have to let you end your evening. My day is basically just starting, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Next time we'll do an earlier time if you want to come on and talk a little bit more in detail. I would love to hear more about the detoxification lymphatic system and anytime you have a topic or something you want to promote, definitely come on and just message me and we will set it up and I will get the time right this time.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I would like to say that I think I have to think about that. No, no, I'm joking. Um, hmm. Well, yeah, I like to say I think that you're just worthy, of feeling your best. And for me, it started with learning to have compassion with myself. And I really believe that's the foundation, like being compassionate with yourself and loving yourself. Like, what does that look like? What does it look like when you become that person that is so full of love and grace and compassion? How do you walk? What do you eat? What do you do on a daily basis? And just take small steps towards that, to becoming that person and being your best friend. I think this is really like, um, yeah, where it all starts. And
I think that's a great foundation.
yeah, I think also you will feel that for animals, and of course, everyone has its own journey. But I believe at the root of it all, it's compassion, it's love. And that's what moves us. That's what makes us make choices. Like even the Bible says that guard your heart because from there flow the issues of life. It's not what we do up here only, it's like what is in the heart that leads us to the decisions that we make. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And I'd like to get in depth with you on that conversation too about the biblical part of it, because I've also read that older versions of the Bible, I believe, I don't know much about it, but that did say not to harm the animals, but then there was rewritten versions of it that may have been okay with it. So that's an interesting topic, but I love the way that you incorporate like spiritual healing into it. You know, you bring that realm into it as well as the health information, because you know so much about that as well. So I think you're a great guide for people. And um, I know you have to go, but Goob wants to know if you help that you can tell the moon's energies and solar shifts. So do you have more cosmic awareness? It happened to him on a very high level, or her, I'm not sure.
His question, oh, that's a good question. So your question is if I feel like more sensitive to that, right? Like things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like definitely. It's like I notice something is like going on, and then I'm actually Googling like, is there something coming up, you know? And most of the times, yeah.
I feel that too. I was letting
Yeah.
him know in the comments. And thank you to Mona, Angela, Muriel, Dawn. Thank you. And
Thank you
Goob,
for
it
being
was so
here.
nice meeting you. And did I mention everyone? Did I miss anyone? I hope not.
Mm,
And then, of course, my wonderful guest, Amber. I'll let you finish your closing thoughts before we leave. Thank you for answering that one last question. I appreciate you.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that was it. And just if you need help, reach out to Jen, to me, to anyone, and just know that you're capable and that you don't have to do perfect. There's so many things. Honestly, I want to say I'm like this. I just want to encourage and motivate and just love on everyone. But I know that I cannot do it for you, but you can do it for you. And it all starts, I think, with loving yourself.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here. If you're here, definitely check out Amber's YouTube channel. And I know it's a fairly new channel, but she has a lot of wonderful information. So I know she'd appreciate the subscribers. Go to her Instagram and other social media, and, say Facebook, YouTube. And also, if you're here, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel too and click the notifications so that you may be interested in. Is that where it is? I never know. When I see people do that, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Where
it
subscribe button?
depends. Where's your notification button? Mostly, yeah, it's
Oh,
down,
is
right?
it here? Okay,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
No, but thank you so much. This has been so amazing, so inspiring, and so helpful. And I really appreciate you being here. And definitely come on anytime. And thank you, everyone, for joining and everyone watching the replay. We really appreciate you. And Neo wanted to say hi too. He's been in and out. I appreciate everyone. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you so much, Jen. It was my pleasure, really. I enjoyed it so much.
Thanks for sharing your amazing transformation. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
everyone.